So I literally have so many questions that I don't even know where to begin, and I just want to preface this by saying that this kind of looks like Shadowhunter's June, because all I'm reading is related to the Shadowhunter's Chronicles, and I don't know if that makes me happy or if that kind of makes me afraid that I'm getting obsessed with this in a good way and in a bad way, like I don't know. So I'm just gonna proceed with the video and you can tell me down in the comments what you think. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the next two books that I read within the Shadowhunter's Chronicles, and yeah, I have a lot to say about this, so stay tuned for the rest of the video. So obviously, a disclaimer, I'm going to be talking spoilers in this video because obviously I have stuff to say, and when I have stuff to say, I can't bother to be shut up. And the fact is that I think that a lot of the things that I said in the first video that I made of this new series that I'm doing apparently, which I will leave linked down below for you guys if you haven't watched it yet, I just have to say that I found it pretty cool to just talk about what I wanted and to just discuss some of the plot points and some of the character points that I agreed with or I didn't. And I am thinking about doing the same throughout the entire Shadowhunter's Chronicles books, because pretty much all of you that are watching this already read them, and if you haven't, then you are not going to watch the videos, but it's okay. Or maybe you will buy it and read it to discuss with me, I don't know, and it will be fun. So I'm all for fun in this video. So, and without further ado, so that this video isn't as long as the other one, pretty please, we're just gonna get into the video and discuss some things. So the books that I have read to film this video and that inspired me to kind of want to talk about some stuff was Clockword Angel, which is the first book in the Infernal Devices series, I believe, or trilogy or whatever, and City of Fallen Angels, which is the fourth book in the Mortal Instruments series. So these two, I read first this one and then this one because I am doing them by publication order, and I found some similarities between characters and some things that I wanted to discuss that I thought I should make a video just about these two and then proceed with a continuation with the other ones that I will read. And I'll try and explain that better as we go, okay? So I'm just gonna put this down because this is fairly heavy to just be here and doing muscles with this, so I'm just gonna put this down. It's gonna be an instant. So firstly, why I decided to put these two books together, you might think. And that is a pretty good question, and it also has a pretty good answer, may I add, or at least I think it's a pretty good answer, because they are kind of both not that, I don't want to say not that important, but they are not as big as, for instance, the third book was in the Mortal Instruments series. And what I mean by this is that, firstly, by reading City of Fallen Angels, which is the fourth book, I kind of got the feeling that it was kind of a filler book in a way. So important character development happened and important character things happened and relationships and everything in this book, but the plot, the main plot, was kind of like just a filler to the next two books. So this book had to happen so that you can have the next two books. But it didn't have to happen for you to just have to spend 434 pages reading about all the things that happen in this book. At least that's my personal view, but I didn't hate the book. I liked it more than the first and the second. It was just a filler, and you probably have seen fillers if you've seen anime or if you've watched some TV shows. You know that some episodes are just there to move things along and don't have a lot of resolution or a lot of plot in their way, which is fine by itself. And at the same time, I compare it with Clockwork Angel because it's the first book in a new trilogy. So you have a character that doesn't really know a lot about what the Shadowhunters are, which is your main character, Tessa, and then you have Shadowhunters explaining her what the hell is going on, and a new plot is forming and everything. So I kind of compare these two because although Clockwork Angel is fairly more interesting than City of Fallen Angels in a way because it has more plot and it has more plot twists that I kind of didn't saw coming, which was good, and a very good difference in the Mortal Instruments series because I pretty much almost see all of the plots coming in the Mortal Instruments series, which is kind of a bother. although Clockwork Angel is different, it's kind of the same in a way, because it kind of feels like a filler. Sometimes it's hard to go through it in a way, although I did enjoy the writing much more than I enjoyed the first 3 Mortal Instrument books, which for me it's good, which means that Cassandra Clare is improving on her work each time that she writes a new book, and that is good. But with City of Fallen Angels, which I read after reading Clockwork Angel, it kind of looks like the writing goes downhill again. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about it. And as you know, if you want to comment about this, you can write your comments down below. Just share it. If you have my point of view, if I have a different point of view, I just want to know, because this is pretty cool to talk about, and I want to review these books in depth. Well, not review, just share thoughts about them, because it's the first time that I'm reading them, and I feel like I can bring a new perspective to the genre and to the book series that some other people have been saying, because this is a very hyped series. And because I am reading this with 22 years old, and after reading a lot more fantasy than I probably would have if I picked this up when I was younger, I think I have a new perspective of the things that I can bring to you. So this is why I decided to put these 2 books together and just talk about them. So let's get into the main part of the video. So first of all, the question that everyone is waiting for, because it's the question that titles this video, and that is, why is Will Herondale such a dick? And that is true, he is a dick. And you can say, well, he has a shadowy past, which I kind of already figured out, like I don't know what it is, but I am already reading at this point Clockwork Prince, and in the first 59 pages of the thing, you know that he's searching for a demon. So you kind of know that there's something shady in his past, and you know that he wants this potion to get rid of his feelings for Tessa. And yeah, but first of all, why are those feelings there? Like, I can understand, although I don't forgive, but I can understand to a level why Jason and Clary in the Mortal Instruments series are kind of in love, because they both have angel blood, and I would suppose, although nothing is said about that, well, the fairy queen or the silly queen or whatever, she talks about that they may be attracted to each other because they both have angel blood, but Clary dismisses it as a lie, so you're not really sure if the queen is just trying to mess with her head or if that's really true. But that you can understand, like they both have the same type of blood in a way. They both are attracted to each other, they both have powers that complement each other. So you can understand that, although it's very forceful and it's an insta-love all the way. But you can understand that. What you can't understand for now, and I hope that there's going to be a good explanation for this shit, because I get so angry with this, is why Will and Tessa are apparently in love, because they are for some reason. Well, Tessa just wants to sex him up, apparently, because when she's talking about him, she's like, oh, this inner burning desire that I have for Will every time I see him. And I'm like, gosh darn it, is he that sexy that you want to sex him up every time that you see him? Like, why? But whatever. And he apparently, although you're never seeing things through his perspective, just some bits and pieces, also is kind of burningly in love with Tessa, which is kind of weird, because why? You know what I mean? Like, she's a cool girl. Like, I can identify with her to a point, because she's feisty, she loves to read, obviously, and she's not the model, let's just say, of a woman in that time in London, in that period of time. She's strong, she's very well-minded, she can forgive, but she obviously wants to fight for what's right for her. She can make sacrifices and make hard choices, and I love her for it. And I really love Tessa. Like, she is a cool main character. Clary is getting better, but she's not reaching it, okay? So I prefer Tessa to Clary, but I still don't understand this relationship between Tessa and Will. Like, and he is just a dick to everyone, and you can't, I mean, well, he has a dark past or whatever, and maybe he's really sad, but you can't use that as an apology to be a dick to everyone, including your best friend, which, by the way, I love Jem. Because Gem is just a gem. Oh my god, I can't believe I did this pun. I'm so sorry. You can unfollow me if you want. Please don't, but this is a really terrible pun. But as I was saying, Gem, on the other hand, is really sweet. And I am right now, I don't ship him with Tessa in a way that I just want them to kiss and just have babies and be happy together. But at the same time, I think he treats her fairly better than Will. And I don't understand right now, like as I said, I'm just reading Clockwork Prince and then I will still have to read Clockwork Princess. But I don't understand how people can ship Tess and Will because he's just so mean to everyone. And sometimes I'm mean to people, okay? I'm not perfect. And sometimes we all say things that we don't want to say. And sometimes we purposefully want to hurt some other people. And that's not correct. And that's not the thing that you should do between relationships, whether they are friendship or love relationships or whatever. But human beings do that, but they apologize. They know that they did wrong, or at least I try and do that. Sometimes if I don't, I feel bad for it. And I'm not saying that Will doesn't feel bad for it because he clearly does, but why can't he apologize? Why can't he explain why people can't have conversations in this series? And that's a thing that I want to talk about because of City of Fallen Angels. So we're just going to be doing parallels in here, everyone. I'm sorry if this gets confused, but this is just a rambling thoughts about stuff, okay? So in City of Fallen Angels, finally, and I have to say, I said hallelujah, praise the Lord, because finally characters were having conversations about the problems that they have. Like, for instance, Jason and Clary finally had a conversation about why Jace wasn't talking with Clary and why were they suffering and if they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend anymore and what they were doing with that relationship. Finally, they had a conversation. And I was like, finally, in this entire series, someone has a conversation about what they need to have a conversation, like without keeping secrets and shit like that. Well, that didn't turn out that good, but at least they had the conversation. You know, it was a cool relationship development that I wasn't expecting on the part of Cassandra Clare, and so I have to commend her for it because it was pretty cool. But in the Infernal Devices, she's doing that shit again. Nobody communicates with nobody. Well, I mean, Jem does communicate. He is the kind of character that I like because he's so honest, so sincere, and he's just like, I have this problem, and I thought that you should know because I don't want you blaming yourself for me having that problem. And that was so honest, and that was just the thing that every fucking buddy should do. That. You should be sincere, you should be honest, you should talk about your things, about your problems, about what you agree or don't agree or whatever, without hurting people. But if you do hurt people, then you have to apologize. Like, please. Please apologize, because we all seen how the relationship with Tessa and Will is weird. Because he doesn't apologize and she is kind of missing the point about he liking her and she just thinks that he hates her, and it's kind of getting very complicated for me to handle. But obviously we all know that it's going to be a love triangle. I know that. And at this point in time, like, I can regret what I'm saying, but at this point in time I am Team Gem all the way. Because although I look at him and I feel for him just as I would feel for a friend, he's just so careful with Tessa and with everyone else. He's just such a good person in heart. He tries so hard to do the right thing, and he just doesn't blame anyone for his problems or for the problems that happen. He just tries to find solutions. He just tries to think practically. I just like him. So for now, I'm Team Gem. If you agree with me, tell me so in the comments down below. If you don't, please don't spoil me for the rest of the Infernal Devices. Like, please, I am begging you. I can't. So yeah, that's the thing. Also, as I was predicting in my last video, of course, fucking Sebastian isn't dead. And obviously, pulling again to City of Fallen Angels, I knew this shit was gonna happen. Like, not like this, but I knew this was gonna happen. And I have to say, what I liked the most about City of Fallen Angels was that it forgot a little bit of its main characters and gave more development to the side characters. And finally, I could start seeing a little bit of Izzy-Simon relationship, because finally I stopped seeing them. Well, Simon and I always loved them, but Izzy, I could stop seeing her as just a side character that was there, thrown there. And we had a little bit more Alec and Magnus, although it just seemed like a relationship between teenagers. And it was just so fucking stupid, because Magnus is not a teenager and Alec should know better, because I always thought him as rational, and yeah, but whatever. That's another point entirely. But finally we could see some development of the side characters, and that was so great, because that's what you expect in a novel, that you have development of the main characters but also the side characters. And as of right now, I am more preoccupied with the relationship between Simon and Izzy, Alec and Magnus, and slowly a little bit preoccupied with Jordan and Maya. Because that's another thing entirely. Like, I understand this is very problematic, and I'm not going to say that I didn't enjoy, in a way, the fact that maybe Maya and Jordan are going to be together, because you see that there's still a burning passion in there, but this is where it gets problematic. Like, he hit her, he transformed her, he never talked to her again. He was pretty violent with her, knowing from where she'd come from and what it had been done to her. And you can say all that you want, that the Praetor Lupus didn't let him talk to her and go to her, and that will make it worse. You can say that, and I will say that you are right, and that I appreciate the character of Jordan. Jordan? Is that his name? Yeah, that's his name. I'm sorry. It's so many people that I get confused. So I can appreciate the dynamic between them, and it's a cool dynamic, and obviously they know each other way, way better than I was previously thinking. And it's kind of cute how they are reconstructing their relationship, and how he's trying so hard to just diminish himself to make her feel more confident. But we cannot forget that he hurt her. And you can say, well, he was turning into a werewolf, and that's what happens when they are turning. At least for the first few times, they are aggressive, they don't know what's going on. He never knew he was being turned into a wolf. And I would say, yes, that's a pretty good apology for the thing. And I have to agree with it at some level, because we are in a supernatural urban fantasy kind of setting. But it still hit her, and he still hurt her a lot, and he still vanished without saying any shit. And you cannot shit me that the Praetor Lupus was going to actually see if he sent her a letter or a text message. Like, if he could find that she was close to Simon, and he could get himself assigned to Simon because Maya was there, and they let him, probably they wouldn't be that angry if he just found a way to get her cell phone number and call her or send her a text explaining every shit I went through and saying, if you don't want to see me anymore, I completely understand. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't like Jordan and that I don't ship him with Maya, because believe me, I do. But I do understand that that is very problematic, because we are talking about domestic violence. And he hurt her, he hit her, he was her boyfriend, and he did something that he should never, ever have done, because this is a firm belief that I have, nothing can make you be physically or psychologically violent to someone. And a disclaimer here, obviously, I had my arguments with people, and I have discussions, and sometimes I hurt their feelings, and I hurt them really badly, but I apologize for that. And I was never physically violent to the point of it being domestic violence or any kind of violence. And this was, okay? And if we say that she's traumatized, and she recognizes to Simon and to herself that she's traumatized, with the fact, why in the same week, in the span of 2/3 days, that she knew that he was still alive, why would she kiss him again? Like, I know that they were in a threatening life or death situation, but nothing. She was hurt. She cannot throw himself back into his arms like that. And I liked how after she kissed him, she was just like, I don't know why this happened, and I don't know if I'm going to ever do it again. I was just afraid for my friends and for my life, so that's why I did it, and you were just there. That was cool, but at the same time, I think that this was a very problematic content, that it wasn't very well talked about and pointed out as problematic. Like, it was pointed out as problematic because Izzy and Simon both said that this was problematic, that this was violence in a relationship, but it wasn't made out as difficult and as problematic as it should be. Just, okay, let's just end this here because I'm rambling. So for the point that I'm making is, why can't these people talk and solve their problems, and why aren't problematic things being discussed? Like the fact that Jace is being violent with Clary because he's possessed is also kind of strange. Like, violence in these relationships seem to be fairly normal in these books for now, and mistreating people, and they still loving the person that's mistreating them. I understand that because as a psychologist, I learned a lot about the intertwines and dynamics of domestic violence and abuse and whatever, but this should be signed as a problem, and it is not in these books, and I don't really enjoy that. So, putting an end to all this rambling video, these are my thoughts about Clockwork Angel and City of Fallen Angels, and I am enjoying this series to a point. I still don't know if I like Cassandra Clare's writing because we didn't have any plot whatsoever in City of Fallen Angels, and we just had a small start compared to City of Bones, but better in Clockwork Angel. So, I don't know. We will see. I will continue reading Clockwork Prince, then I'm going to read City of Lost Souls, then Clockwork Princess, and then City of Heavenly Fire, and I'm going to try and talk about them to you guys when I can, when I'm ready. If you want to see more of this video, tell me so in the comments down below. If you want me to stop babbling about Shadowhunters, I can stop as well, although I'm really enjoying doing this series because I find it funny to talk about these books. Just that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like or subscribe and tell me in the comments down below if you agree with my opinion or not, without spoilers please, and without any kind of violence, because people are entitled to their own opinion and nobody's bashing books or authors or anything, we're just talking about stuff. So that's all for today guys, and happy readings to you all. Bye!